What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here, live for your NFL Week 17 picks, straight up and versus the spread. In this video, I break down every NFL game for Week 17, give you my thoughts, my analysis, and my breakdown for every game this weekend. We have no Thursday night football this week. It is all on Sunday, and I am ready to roll. Ready to go. Of course, this time in the NFL calendar, this season, we have a lot going on in terms of the injuries, who's playing, who's in, who's out. So I'm going to try to keep track of that as best as I can. We're also at the part of the season where, let's be quite honest, a lot of these games don't really matter, but a lot of the games do really matter. So there is a huge spectrum in terms of this game means a lot, and this game means very little in terms of both how I'm going to talk about it and in terms of how deep I'm going to go into it, and in terms of what it means to the playoffs, those teams to make the playoffs, seeding, and all that other fun stuff. So before I get started, guys, make sure that you do spike that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more bottom line view just like this. And also subscribe, spike that notification bell for the latest upload for more BLV and to be notified when I go live. Hopefully everybody get in the chat. Let me know how you're feeling, how you're doing. That live chat, fill it up. Let me know how you're doing, who you're picking this week, and when I break down every game, don't be shy. Let me know who you think's going to win that particular matchup, as we are here live every single Wednesday night to break down these NFL games on the calendar. What's up, Ashton? How you doing? Lenny, Ultra, nice to see you guys. Thanks for joining the chat. Spike that like button. Follow us on the social media platforms. You can follow The Bottom Line View on Instagram, the same name as the channel. You can also follow my personal account on Twitter at Mitch Milani, Milani. All right, so let's get rolling here. What's up, Hunter? How you doing? Let's get rolling with the first game. And the first game this week is the New York Giants at the Chicago Bears. All right. The Bears are supposedly favored by 6. Now, I do need to say something. Actually, before we even get to that game, I forgot to bring this up, and I do really want to bring this up. So a couple things here. First, there's a lot of games on the card right now that are not even available to bet on. So there's a lot of games that are not available with no spread. And that has to do with injuries. That has to do with, of course, people being on the list. I'm not going to say the word for YouTube purposes. And we don't know if those players are going to be playing, especially at the quarterback position. Okay? So we have no idea in that regard. So a lot of these games, you'll see where I usually have the spread, it will just be NA. Okay, and I'll let you know if the spread is currently unavailable, but which side I'd be looking to play during that time to preview. Secondly, I've been doing for a good crop of this season, I feel like 4 or 5 weeks, I've been doing early looks, but I decided to kind of stop doing that this last couple weeks because there's no point in giving early looks right now in the NFL calendar, because if you're betting early right now, you're probably going to lose money at some point, because there's no value right now in betting early, because a lot of the times you could lose some of the most important players that you're thinking are going to be playing in these games. So to mitigate that risk and to not be blamed for you losing money, I'm simply just going to start the week with my picks and my previews with this video until the end of the season. Next year, hopefully, we can get past all this, and then hopefully next year we can continue doing the early look videos, because I enjoy doing those, but there's really no point in putting it out if there's no value in betting early right now in the NFL. So, let's start with the first game. That is the New York Giants and the Chicago Bears. So, like I said, Bears favored by 6 as far as I see. And in terms of the injuries, I think the Giants are Of course, dealing with the whole quarterback situation, Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm both are terrible. Jake Fromm is honestly somehow worse than Mike Glennon, although I don't know how you can get much worse. The Bears are also terrible. They were able to go to Seattle and beat Seattle, though, in kind of a wacky, snowy environment in Seattle. Nick Foles was the quarterback there and actually played fairly well. I do think the Bears are the better overall team here. I do think the Bears defensively in the front seven are pretty stout. The Giants, their defense often plays pretty well, but it's just not enough for them to get victories right now in the NFL because this defense is solid, but it can't carry a team to a victory a lot of the time because the offense is just so bad. I mean, right now, the Giants probably have the worst offense in all of football because they have probably the worst quarterback of any team playing, and they just have a dreadful offensive line. They went through a switch at OC, offensive coordinator. Their wide receivers are all beat up and not playing. So the Giants have the worst offense in the NFL. The Bears have 3 quarterbacks who are better than the Giants quarterbacks right now, and quite honestly, I don't think I'll be picking the Giants to win a game for the rest of the season. So, on that note, I am going to be quite predictably picking the Chicago Bears. And I wanted to be a little bit comical, a little bit funny here, and pick the Bears to win 13-6. Because I don't know, I just thought picking a game that didn't even account for 20 points would be pretty funny. So I'm going to go with 13-6 because I think both of these teams are so pathetic that is going to be my score. I don't know how you feel about that one. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, I wanted to have fun with this game, so there you go. The Chicago Bears to win 13-6 because why not? Hopefully you are not betting on this game. All right, next we've got the Atlanta Falcons at the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo is favored by 14.5 points right now. That is a lot of points to give a lot of teams in the NFL. Atlanta is not one of the absolute worst teams in the NFL, but there is a weird combination happening in this game where Buffalo is a team that blows out kind of subpar teams, and Atlanta is a team that when they play a good team, they get blown out. So that is why the spread is what it is. Even though Buffalo is 9-6 and Atlanta, I believe, has 7 wins on the season, and they're not that far apart in their records, their mystique, their power ranking is very far apart. So that is why the spread is what it is. Now, when we look at the matchups within this game, offensively for Atlanta, I think we could see an Arthur Smith offense where he has been really trying to run the ball and keep Matt Ryan protected and not always exposing Matt Ryan to constant duress and pass rush. And quite honestly, Atlanta hasn't been bad running the ball in most games this season. And I think for them to hang in this game, they're going to have to find some balance by running the ball with Patterson, with Mike Davis through that running game, and then allowing Matt Ryan to not be constantly dropping back and being under duress in that regard. Now, I could see Kyle Pitts drawing one of these safeties, possibly double teams over the middle of the field, and we'll see if that can open up guys like Russell Gage from the slot. I think Gage could see quite a few targets in this game. I think that Matt Ryan can put up some points in this game. I don't think the Bills defense, even though New England's offense didn't really play very well, and understandably, I understand that New England's offense does match up pretty well with Buffalo's defense in terms of their size of their offensive line, facing a smaller Buffalo team, and Atlanta doesn't really have that advantage. I do think there's a possibility that Atlanta scores into the 20s because I thought Mac Jones didn't play very well versus Buffalo, and New England still found a way to be able to put into the 20s. So with that being said, I think it's interesting that Atlanta's getting 14.5 points, because with the 14.5 points, I think if you get into the 20s, it's hard not to cover. On the flip side, you have a Buffalo offense who was unbelievable versus New England. And quite frankly, I think the number one thing I want to see from Buffalo here is, regardless of the availability of Gabriel Davis and Cole Beasley, Isaiah McKenzie needs to play. This guy is their second best receiver from what I see from my two eyes. He was dominant versus New England. Miles Bryant couldn't cover him. New England couldn't cover him. At the end of the game, they started to double team him because they still couldn't cover him. And Stephon Diggs is great, obviously, but he draws the double team. And McKenzie's speed is another X factor that can be involved in this offense that I think would, honestly, this might be a development that we see from the Bills for the rest of the season now. The run game, as long as they just mix in a little bit, I think that's fine. But honestly, Atlanta is a defense where Josh Allen should be able to find a ton of success passing the ball. They don't really have the matchups, Atlanta, on the perimeter to be able to, cover all of these Buffalo weapons. Whoever is playing out there. And Allen is just an absolute machine who's playing his best football of the season. He had arguably the best quarterback performance I saw all season last week versus New England. So that being said, as long as Buffalo doesn't come out here and just lay an egg, I think Buffalo wins the game quite easily and handily, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if Atlanta does find a way to cover, because it is a lot of points. So that being said, I am going to predict a score of 34-21 for the Buffalo Bills. I think Buffalo gets into the 30s. And like I said, I think Atlanta gets just into the 20s, which would make them just a little cover there, just barely by 1.5 points. But I will take the points. I just think from a fundamental perspective, that is too many points to be giving a team that isn't one of the worst in the NFL. So that being said, I'm going to take Atlanta with the points, but Buffalo should find a way to easily win this game. I think they've got enough on offense and defense. I just don't think Atlanta matches up from a talent perspective in this game. All right. That's a big one for Buffalo, though. They really need that one because, as much as that win mattered versus New England, if they just drop an L right here, they could lose the division all over again. So they've got to stay focused and they've got to win this game, and I think they will. The next game is the New England Patriots and the Jacksonville Jags. Guys, if you're just joining, don't forget to spike that like button. I see we now have over 40 people in here, so please give me a like. Let me know how you're feeling, how you're doing in the comment section, and let me know every single pick you're making this week in that comment section. But spike that like button. Let's get these likes up. Let's help this BLV algorithm. Let's get going. All right, the Jacksonville Jags and the New England Patriots. New England is favored by 15.5. New England has been hit with a couple COVID. I didn't want to say it, but I said it. So hopefully YouTube doesn't penalize me for that. Anyways, so they got hit with Judon and Jawan Bentley, and those guys both went on the list. So that being said, they are probably not going to play in this game, although NFL changed their rules, so maybe they will be available to the team. I'm hoping to see Nelson Aguilar back out there. I understand he doesn't have a ton of stats, but what he does give the New England offense is an available threat to stretch the field. Defenses have to respect Nelson Aguilar because he is a good deep threat. He can run by you. You have to have a little bit more respect for New England's passing game deep down the field when he is out on the field. And when you just simply put N'Keal Harry out there, it's just not enough speed. Like, New England versus Buffalo had N'Keal Harry and, what's his name? Jacoby Myers. That's the two slowest receivers in the NFL playing on the perimeter. So no wonder Buffalo was able to put all 11 players within 10 yards. Right, they didn't put Aguilar out there. They didn't play Kendrick Bourne enough due to the fact that he didn't practice all week. So what I want to see from my team, the Patriots, I want to see getting back some rhythm within Mac Jones. It's been about a month since Mac Jones has been playing very good football. I think the whole bye situation on top of maybe that rookie roadblock on top of, having a game where he only threw 3 or 4 passes. Those things I think have all kind of collapsed on Mac Jones' ability to progress throughout this December, and I want to see Mac Jones get back on track entering the playoffs. So I think this is a game where you can get that passing game back in rhythm. Running the football, I want to see Damian Harris get 1,000 yards because he would be actually the first Patriots running back under Bill Belichick to go to consecutive years with 1,000 yards rushing. So I'm hopeful that he can get that in this game. I'm not sure the availability of Ramondre Stevenson, although I don't think it really matters, to be honest. If he's any sort of hurt or sick, I would just keep him out. Defensively, I do want to see New England play with more of a tempo and more heart. It just feels like the last 2 weeks, they don't have that swagger that you've seen from them throughout this season in a lot of games, to be quite honest with you. I don't see that from them the last couple of weeks. I don't see that energy that they play with when they're playing well, and I want to see that in this game. So overall, we understand that this game is all about New England. This game is all about them getting back on track, and that's what I'm expecting to see in this game. I could see Jacksonville, in this game, give their defense giving New England's offense a bit of run for their money early in the game, but I think just eventually New England pulls away. They continue to pound the rock, and they make enough plays in the passing game. Defensively, they dominate. I think they get a lot of turnovers in this game versus a rookie quarterback in New England. A warm weather team coming to New England in December is never good news. So I'm going to take the Patriots here, 34-7. I think it's a pretty comfortable, dominant defensive performance, but Mac Jones and the offense get back on track and back in rhythm entering a big game versus Miami next week. So I'm going to go 34-7 for the Patriots. Next game. We've got the Los Angeles Rams at the Baltimore Ravens, and this is an absolutely ginormous game this week. I think this is a huge game. And we got a super chat from Monty. Thank you, Monty, for the $2. He says, yo, what's good, Mitch? How you doing? Pat's on top. I'm doing well. Thanks for joining, Monty. Hope you're doing well as well, man. And thank you for the super chat. Pats are going to win this week. Big bounce back week. And let's head to Miami with some energy, with some momentum, and ready to roll into the playoffs. How about that, Monty? All right. So the Rams are favored by 3.5. And personally, I think this is a big, big upset alert type of game. This is a game that the Ravens find a way to win. And the Ravens are that type of team where you can never count them out. I expect Lamar Jackson to play. And I understand that the Ravens are missing Joe Schmo and Blow at cornerback, but I don't care. For some reason in my gut, I've got the Ravens to win this game. Now, let me explain. Okay, I got the Ravens 27-24. The Ravens 2 weeks ago played the Green Bay Packers, who many people consider to be one of the best teams in the NFL. They took the Green Bay Packers with special teams gunners at cornerback to the last play of the game. Baltimore is a tricky place to play. It is one of the most underrated home fields in the NFL. And this season, the Ravens have played a lot better at home. Defensively, I think Don Martindale is one of the best coaches. Now, I do think the Rams are going to be able to pass the ball, move the ball, but from what I've seen from Matthew Stafford, I do think that he is a liability to throw an interception or two in this game, and I love Matthew Stafford, but just his recent accuracy has not been up to par, and I don't think the Rams' passing game has been that electric as of late. Their running game has been what has driven this team, and Baltimore happens to be one of the best run defenses in the NFL, which I think causes the Rams to be put in a lot of bad situations offensively. On the flip side, defensively, the Rams are a team that want to play heavy passing attacks. They want to rush the passer. They want to get after you. The Rams don't want to be defending the run all game. And yes, they're athletic on the edge, but they're not really that good at linebacker, and they don't have a lot of depth in that regard to play bully ball. So I think the Ravens roll out there with multiple tight ends. They run the ball. They find a way to run the ball. Lamar comes back and makes his plays. And I think the Ravens pull off a crazy upset that not a lot of people see coming. At the very least, I think this game will be entertaining and will be good. But I don't know why. I just think the Ravens are going to win. And that's my breakdown to see how it would go. But I do think that if Baltimore were healthy, and I've said this all week, because at the beginning of the year, I've kind of always felt that the Ravens were overrated, but judging the landscape of the AFC, judging the landscape of the NFL right now, the Ravens, if they were healthy, would have just as good of a chance as anybody to win this conference this year. And I just have to say that because the Ravens are far from healthy right now, and I think that they kind of have had a very unlucky season in a lot of ways in that regard. So, yeah, I hope that they win this game. At the very least, I would suggest taking the 3.5. I do think this game's going to be very close. Next, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the New York Jets. The Bucs are favored by 13.5 in this game, despite missing about half their roster. I mean, the Bucs are missing a bunch of players, like a bunch of players. They're missing potentially Jamel Dean and Sean Murphy-Bunting. They're missing Shaq Barrett. They're missing Levante David. They're missing Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Leonard Fournette, Giovanni Bernard, and a lot more. So they're missing at least 10 players, and like 7 of them are starters. So they're missing a lot of players. But last week, it didn't seem to matter. They added Shaq Barrett to that list of injuries. I'm not sure what the availability for Tampa will be in terms of their corners because they put on the list, and I don't know if they'll be back for the game. Also, Bruce Arians, as Deshaun says, is on the list as well. So I expect him to be back, but we'll see. This is a Todd Bowles revenge game. And the thing that I've been most impressed with Tampa Bay in recent weeks has not been Tom Brady or the offense, but it has been Todd Bowles' defense. And I do want to give a shout out to Whitehead, who I think has been playing fabulous football. And I think with Whitehead, Winfield, and Edwards, the Bucs low-key have a very, very good trio of safeties who could be X factors entering the playoffs. And I think as a whole, if they have a healthy secondary, that could be an X factor secondary this playoffs. But Tampa Bay is a team that I think is in that mode where they want to just win and prove that they're ready to go for the playoffs no matter who is in there. And this is a game where a lot of these depth players can shine, whether that's William Golston getting to the quarterback or Cam Gill or Anthony Nelson or guys on offense like Brashad Perryman. This is a revenge game for him. Or a guy like Cyril Grayson, who went off last week versus Carolina. So Tom Brady picks up this win versus a team that he literally owns. I'm going to take Tampa Bay to win 30-13. I think they have a well-balanced offensive attack. Perryman, I think, is going to have a big game here. And I think that the defense shuts it down. Zach Wilson will probably be under a lot of duress because Todd Bowles will not be laying off the blitz button. And I think the Bucs win handily and probably do cover this game. Next, we've got the game of the week. The Kansas City Chiefs, the Cincinnati Bengals. The Chiefs are favored by 5, which is a really weird number. I've seen 5. I've seen 5.5. I think the week started at 7 and has been bet down to 5, which indicates that the Bengals have been the side for the sharps out there. And personally, I think there's 2 ways to play this. If the number is 6 or above, I feel like you play the Bengals, but I feel like under 6, the smart play is to lay the number with the Chiefs. When I look at this game, this is the game of the week. We've got 2 awesome quarterbacks, and quite honestly, if you had to ask me, Mitch, who's playing better at quarterback right now, Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes? It's been Joe Burrow who has been playing better at quarterback. Now, as a team, the Chiefs are a better, more talented, and more experienced football team, especially in these December games where they matter a lot, not in terms of just the wins and losses, but in terms of the momentum, the energy, and the vibes that you want to have entering January football. And personally, I think the Chiefs are a challenging matchup for the Bengals in terms of, I think Chris Jones and those guys, those pass rushers, could maybe make a few plays on Joe Burrow to force some early pressure, on top of the Chiefs with Spagnuolo being very good at covering and limiting wide receivers in the past. It probably is going to be more difficult on Jamar Chase, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins than we've seen in a lot of games this year. I just see a lot of Bengals games where they're chucking it deep, and I don't really ever see that happen to Kansas City. You kind of got to wear Kansas City down on the defensive side of the ball, stay balanced. The Bengals' running attack hasn't been as good or explosive as it was earlier in the year, I think due to some offensive line missing pieces. But I do think overall that Joe Burrow, just all the mismatches that those receivers do offer, he'll be able to keep up in the game and make enough plays. I'm just not sure if it's enough to overcome the Chiefs offensively, who I just don't look at the Bengals and say like, ooh, that's a bad matchup for Mahomes and company. Like, yeah, they've got an okay secondary and stuff like that, but like, I'm not like super concerned about Mahomes being shut down here. Trey Hendrickson could be a problem off the edge. If the Bengals do find a way to win this game, it could be because Trey Hendrickson causes a lot of pressure for Mahomes, and that front four of the Bengals do get home on Mahomes. Maybe a combination of Jesse Bates and Von Bell do a good job of covering Travis Kelce. I'm not sure they have a matchup for Tyreek Hill in this game that necessarily works. I'm not sure that Awuzie or Hilton or any of these guys are going to be able to keep pace with Hill, so I think it's probably a big cheetah game here. But I'm expecting an entertaining game, and if you told me the Bengals squeaked it out somehow, I wouldn't be like completely shocked by it, but I would be a little surprised. I just like the way the Chiefs are playing as a football team overall, collectively. I think Mahomes is playing a lot smarter and a lot more patient football, and I think he understands that he's not having to be a superhero now because the defense is playing at a decent level where he's not forcing a lot of plays. So the Chiefs, I've got 31-24. I think it's an entertaining game that the Chiefs mostly control throughout, but the Bengals just never really go away, and Burrow makes it interesting at the end. So my score is 31-24. I do slightly lean towards the Chiefs to cover this game, but I'm not really heavy on either side. All right. The next game, we've got the Miami Dolphins at the Tennessee Titans. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure that you do spike that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more BLV. Also, spike that notification bell for the latest upload. All right, so the Miami Dolphins and the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are favored by 3 and the hook. This game is in Tennessee. We've got the Miami Dolphins on the other side. And personally, I started the week thinking that the Titans were a bad matchup for the Dolphins. But the more that I dug into the weeds, the more that I found that I actually think Miami has an edge in this game to win it. Happy birthday to Tyler's World. I think Miami has an opportunity here to win this game. Now let's break it down on both sides. So on the offensive side of the football for Miami, their strength is their quick passing game and their ability to get guys open and find mismatches and to be able to attack the quick intermediate passing game. This is something that was very effective for the New England Patriots when they played the same Titans defense. I think Tua and company can have success. Waddle, Gesicki, and If Parker's playing, I think he is. So if those guys are available for him, I think there's enough matchups for the Dolphins to attack the Titans secondary. Now, the Titans' strength defensively is their run defense, but Miami is not good at running the ball. They're 30th in running the ball. They don't really even care to run the ball all that much. Now, what concerns me about Miami's offense is Tua under pressure. The X factor for this game is Tua's ability to read quick and get the ball out, and for Miami to have enough plays in their playbook to be able to, bubble screen here or screen there or any sort of way to get rid of the ball quickly, because the Titans' four-man rush is effective. Now, understanding that Danico Autry is out for the game, that certainly has an impact. Understanding that Harold Landry is questionable, that might have an impact on the game. But if the four-man rush of the Titans can get after consistently Tua, that is where Tua can fold up and become a pretty below-average quarterback. But I do see success coming for Miami's passing game. On the flip side, the defense of Miami, I think, matches up pretty darn well with the Titans' offense. I look at a Miami defense that might be a little bit underrated versus the run. They rank 7th in yards per game and rushing yards allowed. Their secondary is very good in man-to-man coverage, especially with taller, more physical cornerbacks, and I think that matches up well with A.J. Brown and potentially Julio Jones. The offensive line at Tennessee is pretty bad, and they do struggle to give up a lot of pressure in the passing game. I think Brian Flores can find certain ways to expose the pass protection of Ryan Tannehill and cause some mistakes for Ryan Tannehill. I think if Derrick Henry was playing in this game, I would pick Tennessee. But I'm actually going to go with the upset here because there is no Derrick Henry to really scare you in the running game. So I'm going to take the Dolphins to continue their incredible winning streak. When you look at it, Tennessee has won 2 out of their last 5. Miami has won 7 straight. I think Miami is playing the better, more consistent football. I thought Tennessee got a little lucky over the 49ers last week. So I'm going to lean towards the Dolphins. Obviously, I could see this game going either way, and I wouldn't be shocked either way. But I like the points in this game, and I'm going to take the Dolphins plus the 3.5 and to win outright 20-17 in a pretty defensive football game. The next game is the Las Vegas Raiders at the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts are favored by 6 points as far as I can tell. Now, this line might have moved down since the reports of Carson Wentz, and I have heard people say that it might be 2 now, but I'm not exactly sure. You'd have to check that for yourself. Regardless, I'm just going to pick the game, and you guys can tell which way I'm leaning. So I'm assuming that Carson Wentz will not be playing in this game. So for that matter, I think this is a good place for the Raiders to have an upset win. And I'm a little bit scared now because all these people in the chat are saying that the Raiders are going to win. So now I'm a little bit scared to pick it. But I've been really impressed with the Raiders' run defense. The Raiders' run defense last week was amazing. Like, downright amazing versus the Broncos. I think Melvin Gordon had minus yards. I think Javonte Williams had like 1 yard a carry. So, the Raiders' run defense has been spectacular as of late. They've turned it around. And without Carson Wentz, there's even more pressure put on Jonathan Taylor and company. The Colts also have multiple injuries on the offensive line, which does concern me in this game, and they won't be able to just push the Raiders around if that's the case. On the flip side, the Raiders have a quarterback in Derek Carr, a guy like Hunter Renfrow, the ability to kind of dink and dunk their way down the field versus zone coverage of the Colts that they play. The Colts are more built to stop those downfield passing attacks, and the Raiders just don't have any sort of downfield attack whatsoever. Josh Jacobs actually had a really good game last week versus Denver. I don't see him having that sort of success, but I do think that Derek Carr can put up points in the 20s. And with a backup quarterback that I'm just not certain is any good for Indianapolis, I think I've got to lean towards Derek Carr here. So I'm going to take the sort of upset 23-17 for the Raiders. I don't think the Raiders are very good, and I do really like the Colts. But given Carson Wentz is probably going to be unavailable, I am going to take the Raiders because I don't think they match up all that poorly with this Indianapolis football team because they can pass the ball underneath. They've got a weapon like Hunter Renfrow who can find the spaces in the zone coverages. Derek Carr is a smart quarterback versus zone coverage. And then on the flip side, they've got a really good run defense. So I kind of like the way that the Raiders do match up here and can at least make this one interesting, if not pull out the win. So I'm going to take the points and the Raiders here. The next game is the Philadelphia Eagles at the Washington football team. The Eagles are favored by 3.5. I don't know who's in and out completely for Washington, as they've been kind of a mess as of late, but it does appear that they're going to get more players back, which it does indicate in the spread only being 3.5. I feel like given Washington looked like a high school football team last week, you would think this spread would be a lot higher, but they are getting a lot of players back, and this is an NFC East divisional matchup, which means it's probably going to be somewhat close. The Eagles are playing much better football. There's no denying that. I think Washington, with a healthier lineup, can not get run over in this game. Washington has been fairly good versus the run. It's really the passing game that's given them problems, and the Eagles aren't a great passing team as a whole. On the flip side, Philly's defense does match up well with Washington's offense. I think they can create pressure with their front four. Darius Slay can lock up Terry McLaurin pretty well. And I've liked the way that the Eagles have mixed up their coverages in recent weeks to play more man-to-man coverage and not just simply play the soft zones that they were playing earlier in the year. So I do think Eagles defense is one that's a little bit on the rise. But overall, I think the Eagles should win this game. I don't know if it's going to be a blowout, though, like their recent victories have been, because I don't think the Washington football team defense is just going to be completely ripped up. So I'm going to go with the score of 20-17. I think this is kind of one of those like surprise close games, but the Eagles ultimately find a way to pull it out. And that's also what the spread sort of indicates here. So I'm going to take Washington with the points, but I do think that Philly should win this game. So I'm going to go with the Eagles by a field goal here to hopefully they can get themselves into the playoffs as the 7 or even the 6 seed. The next game is the Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, the Washington practice squad sucks, yes. I'm not sure if the Washington team is all that bad, but we'll see. The Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm not sure. This is like the first spread I saw this week where I was like, why is it 6.5? The Chargers lost to the Houston Texans and they got physically manhandled in that game. The Broncos beat the Chargers earlier in the year and it wasn't close. Like, it wasn't close. I'm taking the Chargers to win the game, and that's mostly based on the fact that I just don't think that the Chargers will get swept by Teddy Bridgewater and the Broncos, period. I just don't see that happening. I don't see Justin Herbert losing twice to Teddy Bridgewater. But I think 6.5 is way too many points. So my score is going to be 24-20 for the Chargers. I like the way the Broncos secondary matches up with the Chargers passing game. The way to beat the Broncos is by running the football. And I think if the Chargers come out and stay balanced, run the ball, no matter who their running back is, they should find success. That's what the Raiders did. On the flip side, the Chargers defense has been dreadful. It's low-key one of the worst in the NFL right now. And even with players back, they still concern me. The Denver offense can run the ball, I think, in this game, but I just don't know if they have enough. If the Chargers do find a way to put points in the 20s, I don't think the Broncos can score in the 20s on very many teams in this league. So I'm going to take the points, but I will take the Chargers to ultimately win the game. The next game and this is a NA game. We've got a non-available spread. Let me roll up the sleeves for this one. All right. So, in this game, we've got the Niners with Trey Lance at quarterback. No Jimmy Garoppolo set to play in this game. A lot of injuries for the Niners. They're still the most hurt team in the NFL. The Texans are a team that are kind of feisty. A team that's playing really good. A team that is fighting hard. Rex Burkhead has found another gear. I think this game is interesting, and if the Niners don't take it seriously, if they come out flat, they could lose just the same way the Chargers did. But there's a big difference between the Niners and the Chargers. The Niners aren't a soft football team. The Niners are physical at the line of scrimmage. They can run the ball really, really well. I think they will run the ball for over 200 yards in this game. I think the Texans are going to be able to move the ball through the air, though, with Davis Mills and the way that he's playing. So I don't think this is going to be a completely easy game. I am going to take the Niners to win 24-17 because of their running game. But the Texans have my respect, and I don't think they're going to be completely dominated here. I could see Davis Mills and company making this one competitive. So give me the 49ers to win, but probably, depending on the spread, not to cover. The Niners really need that game. They really need that game to make the playoffs. Oh, we got the NFL as scripted people in the chat. That's always my favorite. All right. The Arizona Cardinals at the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas is favored by 5.5 in this game. This is arguably the game of the week. I said the Bengals and the Chiefs. This is also arguably the game of the week. Okay, we'll say this, all right? One is the AFC game of the week. The other is the NFC game of the week. Are you happy now? We have the Cowboys. We have the Cardinals. We have Dak versus Kyler. We have Cliff versus McCarthy. I saw a tweet earlier which I thought was hilarious. It said, John Madden taught all 13-year-olds how to manage the clock better than Mike McCarthy. I almost lost it. I almost cried. But in this game, I think that this is going to be one where everybody and their mama is going to pick the Dallas Cowboys to win it. But I don't think people are suspecting it to be close. This game is going to be very good. This game is going to be very tight, and it's going to be entertaining, and it could go either way. Now, I think back to the game that they played last year. I don't think Dak played in that game. I believe it was Andy Dalton. And I understand the Cowboys are a much different team. But I look at what the Cardinals were able to do offensively in that game and the way that they just absolutely tore up the Cowboys. And I do think that that has a little bit of relevance in my mind. I remember a shellacking in Dallas last year, and I think that gives these Cardinals players some confidence to go into Dallas and win, on top of the fact that Kyler Murray is from Texas, so he's playing at home. This is in a dome. This is a fast track. This is going to be a shootout. I think Dallas is going to put up points. I think the Cardinals are going to put up points. I think Dallas's defense can rush the passer, don't get me wrong, but I do think there's weaknesses in this secondary that Kyler Murray can exploit. I think Kyler's going to be able to escape pressure and make some big plays in this game. And I think Dak is going to make some big plays in this game. I see this back and forth. I see this as a very entertaining Texas shootout. And ultimately, I think the home team wins 31-27, but I do think this is really, really close, and I do think that the Cardinals are able to give the Cowboys a scare here and maybe even pull out the upset. So give me the points. Give me the Cardinals plus 5.5 when nobody is picking them to win. I will take the points. I think it's a little bit too much for the Cardinals. And I haven't been on the Cardinals all year, but I will take them here. I think people are starting to undervalue them now. Now I'm going to start to take them and ride with them. But the Cowboys, I like, don't get me wrong. I just think this is a game that's going to go back and forth, and it's going to be a wild NFC shootout. So look forward to this game. It's going to be fun. Next, the Detroit Lions at the Seattle Seahawks. Not available once again, although I don't really care. Who cares? You got the Seahawks and the Lions. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm taking Seattle because they've got Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson's playing to play for a new team. Detroit, they're going to keep it entertaining, though, and they're probably going to cover because Dan Campbell, that is what he does. He covers, baby. So give me the Seahawks. I'm not sure what the spread is. Give me Seattle to win, but Detroit will probably cover the game, and it will probably be within a score. That is all I'm going to say about this game because it simply does not matter in the large scheme of things. I've got 24-17 Seahawks in the game. Next, we've got a game that I have no idea what's going to happen. The Carolina Panthers at the New Orleans Saints, and this game does matter because the Seahawks still have a chance, or not the Seahawks. We talked about the stinking Seahawks. The New Orleans Saints still have a chance to make the playoffs. Yes, they do. I know they suck, but they do. Ian Book was a disaster. The Saints offense was a disaster. And the Panthers did rock bottom them earlier in this year and demolished them. They hit them with all the finishers. They hit them with the tombstone, the sweet chin music, the pedigree. They hit them with the choke slam. All of it. I mean, the Panthers ran them over. Now, in this game, I could see it going either way. I really have no prediction whatsoever. So this is my score. I don't know. You know what? Just for the fun of it, I don't even know who's playing quarterback, okay? I don't know if it's Ian Book, if it's Ian Reed, if it's Ian, who is it? Ian somebody. If it's Taysom or Simeon. I don't know. And then the Panthers got like a 5 QB system. It's a disaster. I just don't care, okay? I don't care. I'm sorry. Question marks. I don't know what the game is going to be. I'll take the Panthers because, like, all right, sure. Why not? It'll be fun. Go Cam. How about that? We got Sunday Night Football. The Minnesota Vikings at the Green Bay Packers. It's another showdown in Lambeau on prime time for Aaron Rodgers. And this is a game where he can showcase to the millions of people watching on NBC the John Madden tribute that will likely happen. The Packers, the Vikings, an NFC North huge game, huge stakes for the Vikings. Can they pull it out? And truthfully, in my heart of hearts, I just don't think the Vikings can beat Aaron Rodgers twice in 1 year. Do I think the Vikings can win? Sure. Am I going to pick them to win? Absolutely not. But what I will pick is them to cover. Because the Packers right now are overrated. Last week, they almost lost to the Browns. Baker Mayfield threw not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 interceptions, and the Browns lost by 2. 2! The Browns, they stink. The Packers beat them by 2. The last game after, the game before that, the Ravens with Tyler Huntley lost on the last play of the game, and they could have won on the last play of the game on a 2-point conversion. They could have forced that into OT with an extra point. The Packers are not playing well enough for me to say that they're going to cover 6.5 versus 1, a division rival, 2, a pretty good team, and 3, a team that's already beat them. So give me the points. The Vikings should be able to move the ball versus an overrated defense that's given up points, given up yards on the ground. Justin Jefferson's uncoverable versus Deion Sanders versus Darrelle Revis in 2009 versus Charles Woodson, Rod Woodson, Night Train Lane, Lenny B, Durkant. It doesn't matter who is covering Justin Jefferson. He will score. And then on the other side, Rodgers is going to tear apart the Vikings defense because their corners are terrible. Terrible. So Rodgers is going to throw 3 or 4 touchdowns. He will probably win the MVP if he wins this game. That's all I'll say about that. I've got the Packers winning, but I will take the points. And finally, the game that absolutely not one person wants to watch on Monday Night Football. We've got the trash can himself rolling up to play Big Booby Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers in what could be the worst NFL game to watch this season. I will take the Browns, and I'm actually very confident about this one. Now, Baker sucks, don't get me wrong, but the Steelers are horrendous. They are horrendous. And their defense has this mystique that they're good. They suck. Okay, the Browns are going to run the ball. They're going to have 150 yards rushing. Nick Chubb is a machine. The Browns are going to win. The Steelers are not sweeping the Browns. The Browns are going to win. The Browns defense is decent enough. They've got a good pass rush. They've got good cover corners. And I just don't see how the Steelers are going to move the ball. Can the Steelers score 10 points? I don't think so. So, I've got the Browns, and I am pretty confident. This might even be a best bet. I got Cleveland 20-13, cover the 3 points. I really like the way the Browns played versus Green Bay as a team. And the Steelers aren't good enough like the Packers to force these interceptions from Baker and all this jazz. Okay? So give me the Browns 20-13. The Steelers are done. They don't want to even be playing any longer. Ben wants to be on the golf course. He does not want to be playing football. He is done. So, Browns 20, Steelers 13. Those are my Week 17 NFL picks. Let me know yours in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. It's Mitch. If you haven't already, make sure you do Gronk, spike that like button, and subscribe for more. Also, Gronk, spike that notification bell for the latest upload and to be notified when I'm live. Appreciate everybody joining me here live. We've got Memorabilia, Bethel, Monty, Schultz. Or no, not Schultz. Is it Schultz? Might be just spelt differently. Crash, the coach, sports fan, Anthony, Vincent, Clint, Ultra, Durkant, Lenny B. I saw Salvador in the chat. I saw Vincent and Odd Big King. I saw Caesar in the chat. Who else did I see in the chat? I saw Eddie. Shout out to you guys. Becca was in the chat. Lenny. Guys, also, just a quick shout out. Lenny and Ultra have a new podcast if you guys want to listen to it. I'm pretty sure it's on Ultra's YouTube channel. If you're in the Discord, you'll get the notifications for it. If you're not in the Discord, you should be in the Discord. Link is in the description. Lenny, if you want to post the link in the chat, you can for your podcast. Go check them out. I listened to it. It was very entertaining. I thought Ultra was wearing a Cobra Kai karate costume for like half the video, but I realized that it was a Georgia football jersey. It's called the Lay Down Podcast. They discuss football. It's an NFL show. Go check it out. Derek says, what's up? What's up, man? Bethel says, join the Discord. We have fun in there every day, 25/8. So check that out. That link is in the description, guys. You can also check out Patreon if you want to support me as a creator and you want to get my bets every week on the NFL. Check that out. Link in the description. Starts at $3 a month. Do I think the Patriots make the playoffs? Absolutely. Monty, what are you talking about? I saw your donation. You never donated a second time. Stop trying to fool me. Eddie says, go Vikings. What's up, Brandon? All right. How do you donate? I mean, you could donate in a lot of different ways. You could donate by super chat. If you're on YouTube, there's a money sign on the bottom of the chat. You click that and I think you can pay through a bunch of different ways. Monty's a pro. You can also join Patreon, and that's another way where you get extra content on top of donating. So, Patreon link is in the description. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. It's Mitch. Appreciate everybody. We will see you in the next one. Check out the best bets. That will be out tomorrow. And actually, I think I'll be streaming the BottomLineView Madden Fantasy Draft. I'll probably be in a live chat with a few people from the league, and I might even stream it on this channel on Friday. Peace.